So yesterday, I went into phase 2 of my toning scenario. So for those of you who don't know, the toning is where you get matched up with colors that vibrate with your energy. So I was there from 1 until 5 o'clock. I was the only man, of course. I like to put myself in those situations. There's no competition. And I learned all these things about how our energy, even to the fact that our skin color is based on the color of the blood that we have. And that the blood that we have is different colors in different people. And that there are different shades of blood. And that because of the color of your skin, that's one of the aspects. And then there's the aspect of the energy that you are. You have a natural energy that goes out. The coloring of your hair, your eyes, all of that goes into whatever this modality is that comes out and says that I am an earth tone. Or they would say this is a tone 3. And there were all these other people. And I remember this one woman was getting it for the first time. She got tone that day. And she came in, and she was a vice president of a property management company. Very professional. She came in, and she had on blue heeled shoes. She had on blue navy pants, and she had on a lighter blue vest with a power blue blazer on. And she just was corporate through and through, and she looked magnificent. But something was missing. And so they toned her. And she says, this is going to be my color. This is going to be my color. This is going to be my color. Her sister is sitting there. She's earth. Her mother is sitting there. She's earth. And this woman goes, I'll never be earth. She got toned. She was earth. And so they do a makeover right there where they put on all new clothes. And it was like a woman who was just, I want to say very sterile, very corporate, very non-expressive, really came to life with the new clothes in. But here was the key. She couldn't accept it. She looked in the mirror and she says, that's not me, that's not me. And everyone that was there was saying, it's more you. We can see you now. We feel your energy. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, why am I bringing this up when I'm going to talk about what is science of the mind? Because that is dealing in the world of effects. It is not in the world of cause. So what was really interesting, they say that when you go through this toning process, what happens is the coloring that you have allows people to approach you more easily so that you're not being pushed away by what you're wearing. Does that make sense? Okay, but what happens after they're not being pushed away? The clothing, the outside appearance doesn't do anything, am I right? Have you walked up to someone, no matter if it was a business situation, if it was a social situation, whatever that situation might have been, and you were immediately attracted to their physicality and you walk up, and then they open their mouth and out spews this energy that is very contrary to what you would have expected, and then you just immediately back away? So we really have what's going on is what? The war of the worlds. And what are the worlds that we're at war with? The war with effect versus the war with cause. And what's happening right now is almost everyone on the planet is living in the world of effect. And effect is an outward expression of cause. So nothing changes for people because the cause doesn't change. So let's go really into this. So what is science of mind? It's a philosophy, it's a faith, and it's a way of life. So let's break that down. What is philosophy? Philosophy are the ideas behind a concept, the ideas that the intellect can grasp, that can ponder, that can take out to many different levels. The intellect can take it and they can explore it beyond anything. It's got something to grab onto. So you've got this idea. Once you have an idea, what has to come next? There has to be a faith. There has to be a belief in the idea. You see, if you have an idea and there's no belief, the idea has no value. Does that make sense? You've got to have a value with it, okay? So we've got the idea, the belief, and a way of life. You see, until you can take the idea, understand it, and move with it, it's got no value, none whatsoever. One of the things you'll hear me say over and over and over again, there's a power greater than we are, and we can use it. And I want to break that down even further at this time. So when we look at it, science of mind is built on the theory that there is one infinite universal mind. Science will agree they cannot understand, but there's something, when science looks at things, that there's got to be some form of guiding principle. There has to be something out there, this principle, that allows everything to be in harmony with itself. How could everything be in this cosmos, in these perfect orbiting patterns, having bodies with trillions of cells that know how to regenerate, rejuvenate, replace themselves? How do we get to do this dance? How can we even talk to each other without sharing the same consciousness, without sharing the same mind? Isn't that interesting? We're sharing the same mind. Now, the difference is, as humans, we've been given a conscious mind. The conscious mind, and if you really think about it, it's about this much. It's a small, small, small portion of our mind. The conscious mind is what makes us unique. It makes us an individual. It's there that we get to choose and build patterns of thought. And those patterns of thought create. But the mind that is creating in our lives is that universal mind. We share that mind. That universal mind knows nothing but obey. Whatever we put into it, it says yes. That's the genie that they talk about in the movie The Secret. Ask and it is done. Ask and it is given. Science of mind is practical. It teaches us how to use the mind for specific purposes. You see, if this teaching, if this philosophy was just a philosophy of thought and it wasn't practical, what value does it have? So can you get the idea? Can you grasp the idea? Let me say this. Can you understand the idea? There's an infinite universal mind that's out there that can do anything. There's no limits to it. There's nothing other than it, right? And you, through your thought, can use that mind. Now, you understand that. Now, let me ask this question. Are you using it? Yes. You're using it every moment of every day of your life, whether you are conscious of it or you are unconscious of it. Unconsciously, we are creating every aspect of our lives right now, and we are living what? A law of averages. When we are not consciously making a unique choice to ourselves, we will have an average experience. The average experience for a man, as he ages, he gains weight, he loses his hair, he can't walk as fast, he can't run as fast, he has to pee more, he has to do all of these things, right? Isn't that the average consciousness that's out there? And if we don't do something to change it, what happens to our experience? My father is in an assisted living center. And I want you to know that there are, I don't know how many, couple hundred people in this assisted living center. And I want you to know there's a lot of average out there. And what you're going to see out there is the average idea of what happens to people as they age, because there'll be a wall of walkers. There'll be certain people that sit closer to where the bathrooms are. Get that? Because they got to go often. And all they're talking about is their health problems. Every conversation at every table is about what's your health problem today. Is the law working in their lives? Yes. And what's it doing? It's focused on what they're saying. And what are they saying? I'm not healthy. And what's happening? More unhealth. So it's a practical law. When we change our thinking, we can change the law that limits us to a law that frees us. You see, think about that for a second. If we are unconscious, we are what? Law of averages, right? What happens when we're law of averages? We're victims. We don't have control, so we perceive people are doing things to us, right? Because we wouldn't have chosen that. but it's happening to us, but we don't realize that we're creating it even though we haven't decided to create it because we've not chosen to create consciously. Now, that very law that's causing us the illness, that's causing us the lack of money, that's causing us to have not the relationships we want, that's causing us to be in pain and misery and suffering, that law that's creating that right now, we have the power to change it like this. And that change happens with our next thought. And then we build upon that thought with another thought and another thought and another thought. You see, the law doesn't respond to an individual thought. It responds to the collective atmosphere of our thoughts. The atmosphere of our thoughts is that which is always being built in every moment of every day. What do we say? They say we have 60,000 thoughts a day. How many of those 60,000 have we consciously chosen? So we had a men's group the other night, and it was really a great group. I mean, we sat down and we really explored the idea of the subconscious mind and how do we shift it. And we talked about affirmations, and affirmations are things that you have consciously chosen that you want to put into the subconscious mind. You want to put it into the subconscious mind because you want to be free. You want to create what you want. And I'm sitting back, and people are saying, and we're getting deep, and I basically said, I'm doing 2,000 to 3,000 affirmations a day. Okay, I'm doing 2,000 to 3,000 affirmations a day out of 60,000 thoughts. So I'm not changing really fast, am I? When you think about 2,000 to 3,000, that's 0.5%. It's not a lot. Or it's 5%. It's really not a lot. But what's happening is, as I keep doing it day in and day out, every day, what happens is I start to shift the atmosphere that I've got around me. There's an atmosphere that's around me that is a sum total of all of my thoughts. As I keep doing the affirmations, as I do the prayer work, as I stop for a moment and I meditate and I get into silence, I stop the chatter of unnecessary thoughts, I am shifting my atmosphere. I'm shifting my color. You see, everything is about energy, and our thoughts reflect an energy. And that energy goes out, and that energy either attracts to us or it repels from us. That's why some people can go into a crowd and yuck stuff happens to them. Some people go into that same crowd and nothing happens. They have a completely different experience. Why? They're going in with a different mental atmosphere. Why is it some people can go into a hospital where there's flu and get sick as heck because they were exposed to flu, and some people go in and it has no impact? I'm one of those people. I'll be very honest with you. I've been a minister here at Agape now for almost 7 years. And people come in and they're sick and they say, I can't hug you because I'm sick. I said, I don't worry about that. Come here. Because in my mind, there's no way that that germ is going to enter into my body. There's no way possible because my consciousness is one that I'm tapped into universal mind. I'm one with spirit, and I'm choosing not to let that virus enter my body because my immune system is, when it's tapped into oneness, when it's not being distracted by unnecessary thoughts that are leading me away from oneness, my immune system can handle any disease out there. Why is it when there was the bubonic plague on the planet, did some people not get it? They were in a different energy vibration. It wasn't that they were lucky, they were vibrating differently and the disease couldn't get in. Here's a real key about that. Just because you get a disease, don't blame yourself. Just because you may not have money right now, don't blame yourself. Just because you may not be in the relationship you want, don't blame yourself. Why? Because most of the habits that have come to us that have caused us to have undesirable experiences have come to us unconsciously. We don't even know that we've adapted them. We don't even know we've brought them in. So what is science of mind? Science of mind is this philosophy and this way of life that allows you to say, wait a second, I can shine my light on this now, and I can begin the process of recreating my mental atmosphere, and I can change my experience. Here's the key. Can you change someone else's experience? No. You do not have the power over someone else. You have the power over you. You see, you are the individualization of God. And they are the individualization of God. And you have freedom. and they have freedom. And if you try to take their freedom, they're not free, and they're going to rebel. This is what happens with kids. Parents want to mold the kid after what their dream is, and the kid rebels and says no. And they will keep rebelling in their own way until finally we allow them to be their unique self, allow them to be their authentic self, and they're going to go and they're going to have their ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. That's natural. We've got to learn as adults to allow people to have their ups and downs. And as we look at them, we've got to be able to say that they are perfect as they are, because here's the key. And we know this in Science of Mind. You do not know something by studying it. You know something by experiencing it and then changing your experience of it to know that you have the power to change your experience. Does that make sense? Experience is something we don't want to do. People say, why do you want to do crazy things? Why do you want to go have all these experiences? Because that's our natural nature. Our natural nature is not to observe life. Our natural nature is to create life. That's what this is about. It's about living consciously. It is our ability to create habits in our subconscious mind that serve us in fulfilling our self-chosen purpose. Let's go to the last part of that. Our self-chosen purpose. The key is we've got to decide who we are. We've got to find out what is it in us that is desiring, that wants to come forth. We're doing a class right now called Mind-Body Connection, Creating Your Perfect Healthy Body. The thing that we talk about really clearly about creating this healthy body is this. The body will decay when it doesn't have a purpose it's going for. When the body has a purpose it's going for, it will age. Am I making sense there? Because let me just explain that real quickly. Aging means that as a man who's mature like I am, what's happening? I'm losing some hair. I've got gray in my face. And my skin has gotten a little thinner. My high heart rate, my fast-beating heart rate, I can remember running, it used to be in the 140s. Now when I really go to the gym and I'm kicking, it's 121. Those are things that I can't control. But what I can control is, do I have movement? Do I have strength? Can I function in the world? And so today I can do pretty much everything I could when I was young. Now, in my wisdom, I choose not to get under a bench press and push 225 and up. I choose not to squat 450 pounds like I used to do because it no longer has value. I choose to do things that just allow me in today's world to live fully, to be complete. See, I believe I can live to 124 years of age with a body that functions the way it's functioning today so I can experience life. Now, how that body looks, well, I don't know that I have that power to change all that. But I can make it functional. You see, I'm using the law. Why? I've created unconscious patterns of thought. You see, 99.9% of our lives are run by our unconscious patterns of thought. We don't breathe ourselves. We don't pump our blood. These are all unconscious things that our mind is doing, right? All the fear that you have is a result of an unconscious pattern of thought. All the lack in your life is a result of an unconscious pattern of thought. So the key thing is, how can we replace those patterns of thought with new patterns of thought that we've chosen? So this is like spiritual surgery. We want to cut out an old pattern of thought, remove it, and then we want to implant in a new pattern of thought that serves us. So once we've got the new pattern of thought in, so I've done some affirmations now for 2.5 years, each day 108 times. That's a lot of times I've done it. And I test those affirmations and say, do I need to do this, or is this now a part of my normal thinking? And so just recently when I was at Vipassana doing the silent meditation, I released 6 affirmations and I brought in 6 new ones because I realized that my go-to pattern now is that affirmation. The affirmation I'm going to give to you that right now is the one that I really would suggest you embody. It is that I allow infinite wisdom to guide and direct my every thought, word, and action. You see, if you take that one affirmation, I allow infinite wisdom to guide, direct my every thought, word, and action. You start putting that there, so whenever a thought comes in, pretty soon it's going to be infinite wisdom. You say, wait, infinite wisdom's not saying that. That's my ego. My words, oh, wait, infinite wisdom wouldn't say that. That's my ego. My action, wait, that action's not in alignment with what I want. You see, when you start impressing that idea on the subconscious mind, you're creating a groove in your neural pathways that's different so that it's going to move from the old groove that was not serving you to a new groove that is serving you. It's like the idea that if you take a bowling ball and you're on the top of a hill and there's a path down there, you put the bowling ball down, it's going to go down the path that's already there. That's the same thing as a thought path. Now, what you want to do is you want to move over a step and throw the ball this way so it creates a new groove. But in order for it to create a new groove, you've got to have that ball go down 200, 300, 400, 1,000 times. After it's gone down, you've got a new groove. So this groove has grown over. It's no longer there. So your natural pattern goes over to here. Does that make sense? So what we're doing is we're creating habits of thought that serve us, that go toward our divine chosen purpose. That's why I love this teaching, is because it is so simple and it is so practical. There is a power greater than us, and we can use it. Can you believe that there's a power greater than you? The answer would be yes. If that power is greater than you, would that power want to control you? Is that power have the human characteristic of wanting you to worship it? Does the infinite, ever-present, all-knowing nature of the divine need you to get down on your knees and beg it for what you want? Or is that a human thing? Or does that power so cool, let's use the word cool for this power, that it's given you the same power that it has, that you can create anything you want in your life by choosing your own thought pattern? And here's the beauty of that power. Because it's infinite and it has nothing to compare to, it does not judge you. So you always have complete freedom to be you. And the only person that you should care about in what you're creating is you. You cannot care about what anyone else thinks. I know that's a hard one for you, but you got to give up what your mother thinks. You got to give up what your dad thinks. You got to give up what your children thinks, your spouse thinks. You got to give up what the government thinks. Now, we're in a society where there are rules within the society. But you can't care what people think, because here's the thing. We were meant to be unique. We were meant to be individual. And yet we were meant to be collectively together and share. This is what I love about this teaching of Science of Mind. It embraces the Eastern teaching of going into stillness and meditating and quieting the mind. And then it brings into the directive, creative process that you have the power within you through the choosing of your thoughts, creating the patterns of thought, your mental atmosphere, and create your life. And here's the key. When you change your life, you make the world a better place. How do you make the world a better place? Because when other people witness you taking control of your power, you are empowering them to do the same. When you are accepting of yourself and you're not judging yourself, you're saying, okay, I'm going to accept you and not judge you. And when you do that, they feel free to take hold of their power and they can step into it. And that's why we built this community we call Agape. It's a safe place where you can come and you can be supported while you grow and become the magnificence of life that you get to choose to be. I go back to the new affirmation that I do when I go into meditation now, and I go, I am not my body, I have a body. I am not my mind, I have a mind. I am not my thoughts, I have thoughts. I am not my feelings, I have feelings. I am not my sensations, I have sensations. I am whole, I am perfect. I am strong. I am powerful. I am loving. I am kind. I am wise. I am abundant. I am healthy. I am grateful. See that feeling when your body hears those words? It says, yes, because that's our natural state. You see, when we really truly embrace the teachings of science of mind, and we put faith in the idea that there's an infinite power and presence and we can use it, and then we act upon that power by commanding our word, by declaring our word out there, we now are living the life of a Christ. We are living the life of a Buddha. We are living life as we were meant to live it. The power is not in me. The power is me, for me. The power is you, for you. Breathe it in. Accept it. And this week, make a decision that I now am going to control my life. And I'm going to begin with my very next thought. Let's pray. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.